Hunter the Hyena Finds His Laugh by Nanny Linda. A clan of hyenas were wandering the savannah, searching for their evening meal, planning on taking home dinner to the young cubs, who would always greet them with laughter and happy squeals. That is, except for one little hyena clan member, who was the newest baby of the alpha female Joyce, who, when he came to laughing and squealing, he just could not find his voice. Hunter the baby hyena would open his mouth to bark and squeal just like all the others, but all he could manage was huffing and puffing, and was laughed at by his sisters and brothers. Hunter's other hyena skills were learned with the greatest of ease, but his voice just would not make a hyena call, and he only ever produced a warm breeze. He was still too young to venture out with the rest of the clan to search for any food, so he stayed playing with the other cubs and told to behave and be good. Hunter had become very friendly with another little hyena, a cousin called Malachy, who had taken a tumble and fallen on his head and now had a twitchy eye. Both Hunter and Malachy were either teased and taunted or completely ignored by the other cubs, but they always defended themselves so bravely and were not really bothered by the teasing or the snubs. One day Hunter said to Malachy, "I've decided to go on an adventure to find out why I am not able to laugh and bark like you. Do you want to come with me? And we could try to find a cure for your twitchy eye too." So they made plans to leave the very next day and quietly slipped away when the clan were at rest, both excited for their adventure, but not knowing if they were travelling north, south, east or west. They headed down to the river, where they saw big knobbly logs floating around. But when the logs snapped with mouths full of sharp teeth, Malachy screeched, but Hunter couldn't make a sound. They both took off running as fast as they could until they were sure they had outrun all the snapping logs. So they sat and rested in the shade of a baobab tree, watching zebras, elephants and hunting dogs. Then Hunter said, "I'm going to go and ask those creatures if they know where I can find my laugh," and he ran off and crashed into the strong hind leg of a mother zebra with her calf, who kicked out her leg and caught Hunter right on his little hairy rump, then took off with her calf at a fast pace, leaving Hunter dazed and in a slump. Malachy helped him back to the shade of the tree until Hunter felt that he was okay. "Don't go doing that again," Malachy said. "It's not safe to wander and stray." So they kept close together and walked across the savannah, where they met an elephant with her young calf, and Hunter approached and asked them, "Do you know where I can find my laugh?" The mother elephant let out a rumble, then trumpeted, which hurt Hunter's ears. Then she swatted him with her long muscled trunk, leaving Hunter frightened and bruised and in tears. Hunter and Malachy again started running, and both tumbled down a steep grassy bank, landing in the mud and muck of the hippo swallow, which was gloopy and really stank. So now they were both muddy and smelly and suffering with aches and pains, but on they both trekked across the African land, feeling tired as their enthusiasm waned. They saw a leopard relaxing in a tree after devouring his antelope lunch, so they tiptoed carefully in a wide arc, not wanting to be his next munch. They saw a family of warthogs dashing to their burrow to avoid the heat of the day, and Hunter shouted out to them as they passed by, asking, "Have you seen my laugh on your way?" "What's a laugh?" asked the boar in a gruff bellowing voice. "I've never heard of that before." "It's the sound that all hyenas make," said Hunter, "but where mine has gone I'm not sure." The warthog grunted and shook his large head and shouted, "You cubs should go home," then squeezed himself down into his tight burrow, letting out a sigh and a groan. They walked on further with the sun on their backs and started to feel hungry and sleepy. Both were beginning to feel lost and unsure, wanting their mothers and feeling weepy. They both came to a stop when they saw a rhino with an armour of very thick skin who was grazing beside a tree. It had a horn on its nose which had a long sharp point, so they approached very cautiously. But the rhino didn't like intruders and shook his head in a rage, tossing poor little Malachy into a tree, and Hunter was butted in the other direction and landed in some prickly shrubbery. Hunter screamed and cried as the prickles pierced his delicate young skin over and over again. And then, when he realized that he had found his hyena laugh, he forgot all about the sharp pain. When Malachy heard Hunter's hyena laugh, he jumped up and down with delight and fell out of the tree, landing on his head, giving himself such a fright. Hunter slowly limped over to Malachy, hoping that he was okay. And when Malachy opened his dazed little eyes, the twitching faded away. Now they were such a happy pair of hyena cubs, but they didn't realize it was beginning to get late, as the day was slowly ending and the dark night would decide their fate. They hid in a patch of tall, dry grass, camouflaged to the hunters of the night. Thankfully, there was a brilliant full moon, which gave the savannah some light. Hunter was so happy that he had found his laugh, and Malachy's eye wasn't twitching anymore, even though they had some aches and pains and were feeling rather sore. The next thing they knew, it was morning. The sun was warm and birds were singing in the trees. There were frightening animal sounds and strange noises, but a familiar scent carried on the breeze. Then they heard hyena cries that seemed to come from far away, and when they emerged from their hiding place, they saw their family and knew that they would be okay. Hunter's mother was so relieved. She had been so worried throughout the night, but when he explained he had been searching for his laugh, she was so proud and very relieved that he was all right. Malachy's mother was so thankful, and her eyes were tearful and red, especially when he explained how his twitchy eye had been naturally corrected when he had fallen from the tree and landed on his head. What an adventure it had been for the little hyena pair. The fact that they were only a short way from their den was neither here nor there. The cubs thought they had been on a wild adventure travelling across the wild savannah terrain, and Alpha Joyce wasn't going to burst their bubble, but they had to promise never to do it again. So finally Hunter the hyena found his laugh, and was so happy that he could squeal and bark just like every other member of the clan. And he was also so happy for his best friend Malachy, whose twitchy eye had been naturally corrected because of their brave adventure plan.